What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Westies Angling. And today you're joining me for day 6 of my Northwest Rod Race, where we're trying to tick off as many species off this list as we can in 7 days. Obviously we're sprinting towards the finish line now. We're down to our last couple of days and we're only missing a few fish. So far I'm really happy with how the rod race is going. We had a bit of a stumble at the start with the big weather change and the temperature drops, but it seems like the conditions have leveled out now, and as you saw from the last video, the fish are back on the munch. So we've got a couple of species to target in today's video. I'm traveling light. I've shot down to the River Ribble in Preston on the free stretch. Now I know that a lot of you tell me that it's bandit country and it's not safe and I shouldn't fish this stretch anymore, but the bootlace king still needs to tick an eel off the list. So that's the only reason I've come down to the Ribble this morning. We're going to get an eel ticked off, hopefully with a bit of luck. The bootlace king can't fail, can he? He can't not get an eel on his rod race after catching so many over the last few weeks. Bloody hell. But I tell you what, the conditions are perfect for eels, other than it's really sunny. There's a big chill in the air. It's definitely autumn now, but hopefully you can see the river behind me here. It is really slow moving. And I've always done well for eels when the river's been low and slow. Now, there is somebody fishing downstream there in my eel peg, which I'm gutted about because nobody ever fishes there, and there's somebody in that swim today. So I've come a bit further down river and I'm going to have a go at casting over there. There's like a half a broken tree that's hanging into the water, and that looks really eely to me. But I feel like when other fish aren't feeding, that's when you're going to get the eels, and the conditions today aren't right for a lot of species. It's too slow moving and it needs a little bit more flow, I think, for the other species. So I'm pretty confident that we'll get an eel. I've got some natural baits with me. I've got a new bit of kit because if you noticed, I broke my bucket in one of my last river videos, so I've got myself a coarse EVA bait station, so I'm looking forward to using that. Like I said, I've got some naturals, I've got some worms, I've got some maggots, so we're good to go really, folks. I just need to get the rod together. Like I said, traveling ultra light. I've just got one rod with me and I've got my bank stick. I've not got my rod pod or anything like that because we're only after an eel. And then hopefully, if we manage to tick eel off the list today, I'm going to shoot down to a coarse fishery and we're going to see if we can tick off gudgeon and also rudd. We need them too. But I'm mega chuffed with how the rod race has gone so far. I really recommend you going out there and trying something like this for yourself. Use my list, get out there and see how many species you can tick off. Have a bit of fun in the process and you'll learn some things along the way, I promise you that. Right folks, without further ado, let's get a line in the water, let's get a worm on and see if we can get ourselves a bootlace. Let's see if the bootlace king can live up to his name today. Right, let's get our stuff down to the swim. So the observant among you'll notice that the bait station isn't the only new bit of kit I've got. I've got myself a set of Corum Neoteric waterproofs. A lot of you have been moaning at me for not having any waterproofs, so I've treated myself and I do look a little bit more professional with the waterproofs on, I think. I'm going to get the rod set up, get it cast out, and then we'll have a brew, I think. God, look at how bright that sun is bursting over the treetops there. I have brought my heavy duty 5-ounce tip today because I need to get it all the way to the back of the bank there, so I need a fair bit of casting power. Can't really see it because of the sun. There we go, block it out. So there's a tree there that's hanging in the water. I kind of want to be this side of it. Very slow moving down the back there, so I don't think we'll struggle to hold bottom, but we want to be in that deep water. That seems to be where the eels are. I really need an eel, folks. Just need to get one. I can't fail this bit. Absolutely crazy that we're spending a full day trying to get a bootlace. Right, I'm going to get this rod threaded up and then I'm going to show you the business end of the rig. I'm going to set the cage feeder up there on a running rig using the Corum Camo Bolton run kit. So I'm simply going to peel off 2.5 foot, a Guri Wen gauge, 9 pound. Then I'm going to tie one of these quick stop hook hairs in a size 10 directly onto that using a uni knot. Very simple, and that's going to be free running, but you can use these in a semi-fixed position as well. I would have liked to have been here for first light today, but The rod race has really taken it out of me, and I actually slept through my alarm this morning, annoyingly. But it is what it is, we're still here, that's the main thing. But I would have liked that next peg along, but we'll see if they move off. People don't really stay in situ very often on the river, they tend to move. So when they start catching eels and want to move, I'll move in. One man's trash is another man's treasure, as the saying goes. So uni knot, very strong, very simple knot. You just thread your line through, make a tag end, fold the tag end back over the two pieces of line there, trap it with your fingers, and then you want to be going through and around about 7 times. Trim it off fairly neat. Tail rubbers here, take one of them out, pass that up the line. Probably one about, like I said, about 2 foot. I've done quite well off 2 foot hook lengths for eels, and the floor is not very heavy, so I'm just going to take this little baiting needle that comes with these quick stops. I'm just going to use it to pull this line through, let it down, cinch it down, that figure of 8 loop knot, and we want to find which side's our tag end, because we don't want to cut the main line. I've done that more times than I can count. It's very annoying when that happens. Then we want to get our main line, we want to thread on a running ring that goes down the main line, and you can attach your lead later on. It's got a little clip on it, just pull the sheath down and attach your lead using that. So we'll get that down the main line, then one of the little rubber beads on. Make sure you do it with the small side going first, and then we want to tie our little swivel that comes in the kit. This is a bit smaller than a size 8, must be a size 11 ring swivel. And there we go. So your swivel pulls into that little bead, and then you've got this free running up and down. But what you can also do is push it over that little ridge, and then it becomes a semi-fixed rig if you wanted it to be. Hook the line over the swivel, bring my tail rubber back down over that little swivel. We want that to be free spinning for the eels, and then bring everything back down from the bolt kit and push that bead over the swivel there. Perfect. And all we need to do is hook our feeder on, and then you pull this little rubber back over the hook, and there we go. That's the eel rig tied, folks. All we need to do is take this little tool that comes with the kit, or use a baiting needle, and push that through the worm, and it's on. And it leaves the hook point free then, so you can nail the eels. It also stops you deep hooking them that. Right, let's put all this away. That's tied up. Keep our baiting. Oh god, that's sharp. Keep our baiting spike on us. So I'm going to be using my new River Blend ground bait. Should be on the website by the time this video launches. So I'm not going to mix absolutely loads up. Now obviously you can mix this up in the bait station if you want, but I'm going to put some of this Hinders hemp in. This morning when I got out of the car, I riddled some of this off because it was in an oily liquid. This is ideal for holding any kind of bait, keeps it fresh as well. So we've got some maggots here. They're a bit too old for me to riddle off, so I'm just going to put them straight in here, and my hands are going to be absolutely yellow by the end of today, but that's fine. I want to mix this quite wet today because I want it to stay in the feeder as long as possible, because I don't want to be casting out loads. Obviously I've not got much bait, so I want it quite wet, and it will dry up. Now with the chance of anything on this rig obviously, but eel is my only target for today. Quite long those hairs. And there we go, that's the eel rig ready to go. I'm going to put our bait spike in the worms so I don't lose it, and then we'll get our thick feeder mix and get it cast out. I want to go all the way down the back there if I can. First cast, let's see how we get on. We'll take that, folks. And you can tell that the river is moving very slow because we shouldn't really be holding bottom there, but we are. Perfect. I want to be in that deep water towards the back for the old eels. What I think I'm going to do after today, folks, is use this for my solid bags. It is absolutely perfect for keeping everything separate. Great bit of kit. But we are fishing. Let's see if we can get an eel. But literally, as soon as we get an eel, we'll get packed up and we'll head off and see if we can catch a rudd and a gudgeon from a coarse fishery. And I'm looking for little vibrations on the tip. That's the best sign of an eel. Very confident. I don't know why I'm so confident, because it'd just be my luck to be calling myself the bootlace king for the last 3 weeks and fail when it comes to eels. Just be ironic, wouldn't it? You gotta love this though, folks, haven't you? I have tried to enjoy the rod race as much as I can as well. Like, obviously it's a lot of pressure trying to get all these fish and doing all this driving, and it is hard work, I'm not gonna lie, but I have enjoyed it purely because of how much I've learned, like trotting and some of the other techniques that I've not used or I don't use very often. You've really got to think about how to target each individual species, where they're going to be, how are you going to fish for them. So it's been an interesting one, and I hope it's been interesting for you guys as well, and I hope you guys have learned some stuff. And if you have learnt some stuff and you are enjoying the video, please hit that subscribe button. It means a lot to me. Literally all you need to do to support the channel is hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon as well. That way you won't miss another video in this series, or any of my other videos for that matter. And if you really want to help out, hit that like button as well. But what a beautiful day. Enjoying it so far, even though I woke up late and had to fight the traffic. Come on, the eels. I think I'm going to have to come a bit closer in on this next cast. I'm going to go with 3 worms this time as well. Let's go big or go home, innit? I don't know how many hours to give to the eels. Obviously we had an eel rig out at Copple Mill all day when we could have been fishing for the sturgeon or anything else, so that was a bit of a wasted rod on that day. But if you don't try for stuff, you won't get them. So this is the last roll of the dice for eel, I think, and then we'll concentrate on other species. Obviously sturgeon's a tough one, we're going to struggle with that I think, but outside chance. Rudd, I think we'll tick off okay. We just need to go to a fishery that stocks them. Gudgeon, again, tough one. But as I've said to you before, folks, even if I didn't get another species, I think we've done all right. I'm proud to call it a success, I think, with the conditions that we've had. Might have just had a couple of little taps then. It's either little taps or it's the floor. Oh, no, that was a definite twing. Oh, come on. That's a very, very typical eel bite. You probably can't see the tip. Well, I think all the eels, folks, have swam off back to the Bermuda Triangle. I'm no longer the bootlace king. Dear me. Well, folks, it is a very slow morning so far. I might have to go and have a go in a couple of different swims. I'm travelling light, so I can do that. It'll take me 2 seconds to pack the stuff up and move swim. I honestly thought I stood my best chance here. I'm not in the swim that I wanted ideally, but it does look like the guy has moved from that swim. So I might have a walk down and check on the next cast. So he's obviously not having much, but you don't know whether he was having eels or not, because people don't like catching eels, do they? And if somebody was catching eels, then they probably move, usually. Again, one man's trash is another man's treasure. I was confident when I set out this morning. Slowly ebbing away from me. Let's move. Well, I've just been talking to a fella. Oh, disgorge you. What's that? Just been talking to a fella that's been fishing this swim all day. He's just moved down a bit, and he said usually he gets bothered with him here, but he's not had an eel today. Typical, innit? Bloody hell. Right, I've just tied up a maggot rig, basically just a size 10 hook. I'm going to put 4 or 5 maggots on. I wonder if it's anything to do with the water being so coloured. If you look at how murky brown it is, it's never normally this colour, the river. All the tannins from the leaves breaking down, probably. Might be talking rubbish there, but it sounds right. And then folks, please, please, please. What is it? That's a roach. It's a nice roach. But it's not an eel. You've got to love river roach. Look at those eyes. Absolutely amazing. The colours on them, nothing like coarse fishery roach. What a beautiful fish. I don't know what this is, but it was a good bite. Oh my god, we've done it, folks. We've done it. Let's get it on the bank. We've done it. Oh, the bootlace king. The bootlace king. What an absolute turn up for the books. Thank God. Let's tick it off the list. So I'm going to have to snip it and pull the line out. There we go. Hook length's gone, done, but we don't need it because we're going to shoot off now. It's not a bad little eel, that. Absolutely epic. I can't tell you how glad I am. 5 hours for a couple of roach and an eel and it's gone. Happy days, folks. The bootlace king, living up to his name. Right, I'm going to shoot to my parents, pick up my coarse fishing gear that I dropped off this morning. We're going to go to a commercial and we're going to see if we can get a rud and a gudgeon and we can really polish this challenge off. We've got one more day left tomorrow and that's reserved for a specific fish now. Can't believe it, we've done it. Get in. Well, I am so chuffed that we managed to get eel ticked off on the Ribble. I've just driven another 30 miles. I've just swung by mum and dad's house. I've grabbed my feeder and float fishing gear that I left there this morning and I've come over to Harry's Fishery in Adlington and hopefully we're going to get rudd and gudgeon ticked off. That's what we're here for. I think this is going to be our best spot for gudgeon. Although it's going to be tough, it's going to be luck of the draw. We're going to have to hope that the carp aren't feeding. When is it that you come out fishing and you hope the carp aren't feeding? But there we go, that's the rod race for you. It changes your mindset. I'm going to fish down this margin here where all the snaggy bits are. I think that's going to give us our best chance for a gudgeon. I'm going to fish a 20-gram method feeder with a 5-pound hook length and a size 14 hook with a tiny little wafter. I often catch gudgeon on wafters and on the method feeder because you know you're fishing on the bottom and gudgeon feed on the bottom. And for the rudd, now I've never fished this lake before, but there's a small lake here at Harry's. Never even had a look at it. So I've got some maggots left over from the river and we're going to have a bash on here because apparently there's rudd here. God, look at how weedy it is. That's amazing. Looks like a nice little lake actually. We need to find a clear spot, feed maggots, fish high up in the water. It's so clear. Wow. That tells me that there's not a lot of fish in here and definitely not many carp. I could see the rudd if they were in here. I've not seen any fish yet. Well, I think we'll have to fish further out and I don't know whether we'll be better down the opposite side of the fishery here where the wind's blowing. I'm not going to bring all my tackle down. I'm just going to set my float rod up and we'll have a go. Where do we think the rudd will be? I've got a feeling if the fish are here, they'll push back towards the other end of the island there. I've got this float shotted really far down, so there's hardly any resistance on it. and I've been feeding maggots for the last 5 minutes. If there's no fish here, we'll have a go up that top end. We just need one, that's it, and then we can crack on for gudgeon. Had a lift bite then. Promising sign, folks. Let's feed some more maggots over that back edge. I think they're towards the back there. And we'll have another go. Just need to get them competing for these maggots, and then we'll get one, I'm sure. Rudd feed up in the water, and you can tell that by the shape of the mouths. They have an upturned lower lip, and if you ever want to know whereabouts in the water column fish feed, you look at the mouths and where the mouths are placed on the fish. To be honest with you, this wouldn't have been my first choice lake for rudd. I was going to go somewhere special for rudd, where I know that there's absolutely loads, but somebody tipped me off that there was rudd in this lake. You need to think, where will all the feed be going in? Where will the fish be? Well, this is technically the first peg on the lake, which tells me that people probably fish here the most, because people don't like walking. I'm into a fish, folks. Please be a rudd. Please be a rudd. It's a good fish, whatever it is. What is it? Is it a rudd? No, it's a bloody great big roach. Is it? It's got an upturned mouth. It's got a nice green colour to it. What are we saying, folks? I think, look at the mouth, it's upturned. Like I said, it's got a nice green upper body. Nice one. See if we can get another maybe. It's crazy how some of the easiest species to catch have been the hardest to get on this rod race. Gudgeon are not hard to catch by any stretch of the imagination. It's just getting to them. They're never absolutely ram-packed in a fishery, but margin's your best shout. And like I said, I've caught my most gudgeon on method feeder, because you know that you're fishing on the bottom. The reason that I'm still trying for another is I want a more definite rudd, because that fish was more of a roach rudd hybrid. I think it had characteristics of both fish, and I think it had a little bit of a deformed mouth, so it was hard for me to really tell what it was. I would have liked it to have redder fins. If it had bright red fins, I would have called it a rudd, but it was quite a pale fish, and I think part of me is probably calling it a rudd because of how desperate I am to tick it off on the rod race. Cheating. Well, I'll be honest with you, folks, I'm getting very frustrated now. I've just tried for a gudgeon down the margin, down there on the method feeder for maybe 2 hours, and I've not a single bite. I don't feel confident in calling that fish that we caught before a rudd. I think it was more of a hybrid, to be quite honest with you. I mean, we could tick it off. I'm probably being harsh on myself, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually, even though I've paid for a day ticket here, I'm going to go over to another fishery and I'm just going to see if we can get rudd ticked off, a definite rudd. It's still going to be tough because I think the next fishery that I'm going to try has got mixed species in. I think it's got roach and rudd, so it's going to be about getting through the other fish to the rudd, and I've only got a handful of maggots left. So look, you've got to be in it to win it. Let's try it. I think I'm best off doing that for today's session. Obviously, as you can tell, it's coming up to evening now. It's probably going to be dark in 3 hours, so I'm going to shoot over to this next place, just take my float rod down and a net and the maggots, and I'll see if we manage to get a definite rudd. But at least we've got eel today. That's the main thing. That's the main reason I come out today. And this last couple of days is all about just trying to polish up and just tick off that last couple of fish. Right, let's head over to the next fishery. Right, so after another 20-minute drive, we're at another fishery. This fishery is located just outside of Coppell. It's only a small pond, and I'm sure, if memory serves me correctly, there's rudd in here. I just want to get a rudd and then I'm going to call it a day, because I'm getting really frustrated with today's fishing, especially after having such an amazing day yesterday. For it to be so tough again, it's just absolutely mental. I've not even brought my chur down with me. I've literally just brought my float rod. As you can see, it's dark on the camera. I'm going to start losing the light in probably an hour or so anyway, so we've not much time. So I'm going to stop waffling and start trickling maggots in, I think. See if I can get the silvers on the feed. We just need a rod, that is it. We just need a rod. I'm not going to target gudgeon here. I don't even know whether I'm going to have chance to get out and target gudgeon again. Method feeder fishing at Harry's down the edge was sort of like a last ditched effort, but that couple of hours method feeder fishing down the margin was that painful that I'm not even bothering putting it in the video. The one thing that you definitely can't say that I've not done is try for each species. I think the only species that I've not really fully tried for would be grass carp, and that's purely because of the temperature drop that I thought I'd just have no chance. Grass carp are what I would call a summer fish, definitely. If you was to ask me, I'd probably say that was an hide. I thought there was only roach and rudd in here. Another roach. There's another nice roach or hide. I'm not 100% sure. Eyes weren't very red. Definitely got them competing now. What's this? What's this? What's this? Roach. Oh. Well, I think I was recording then, and I think I just got a gudgeon and lost it. I think it was a gudgeon. Very much looked like one. I've just got caught in that tree there. I'm gonna have to rig back up. I'm just going to give you a close-up on the phone camera, but I'm sure you'll agree that this is a rudd. Well, there you go, folks. The phone camera is a lot clearer, but you can see you've got your red fins there, ultra red, and the lower lip extends beyond the top lip on this fish. Very green colour. I'm calling that a rudd. An official rudd. He's done it, folks. After all that driving and visiting 2 fisheries and hours of fishing, stood up with the float rod. We've got one. Again, probably one of the smallest examples of its species, but I'm pretty damn sure we just lost the gudgeon. So I might lengthen this rig up a bit and keep going, keep fishing for another hour or so and see if we can get a gudgeon. We never know our luck. We've been lucky so far, haven't we? Who knew that catching a rudd would be such hard graft? Right, let's see if we can get something else. Another roach, that one, folks. So the rudd are among the roach. Clearly. They're just obviously smaller and not getting to the feed quite as quick. Oh, that is a rudd. That's a proper rudd, folks. Look at this. So as you can see, mega ultra red fins, dark top of its body, almost bronze looking, and you've got that upturned mouth that extends beyond the top lip. That is a beautiful rudd, that one. A little bit better, and it's turning into that rudd-like discus shape, that one. Little perch. Thought that was a gudgeon then. Very much looked like one. This cast me back to fishing when I was about 10. This is the type of fishing that we're doing here, folks. Close range float fishing for silvers. So we'll stick to the plan tomorrow. We'll go back to Copple Mill and we'll have a go for a sturgeon. I think I'll fish meat on a her rig. Pepper Army, I've caught it on Pepper Army before, the sturgeon in there. It's a very outside chance though, folks, honestly. I think there's only 3 in there. I think there's roach in here, rudd and an hide as well. Usually you find that fisheries stock kind of like either or, all three. I keep thinking these perch are gudgeon. They look like gudgeon when they're small like that. They're like almost transparent. Come on. Check my drag, because knowing my luck, we'll hook into an absolutely giant carp and it'll just break us. If that happened, I'd probably just pack up. We've got two of the species that I set out for today, so I can't really complain. Oh my god. What are all these big fish doing down there in the margins? This is a hybrid, I think. No, this is a roach. No, this is a rudd. Sorry. Oh god, it's swallowed it. Look at how red those fins are, folks. Nice fish, that. So tight in. Oh, what was that? I think that was a perch. I'm impressed with the neoteric waterproofs. Dry as a bone. And I'm now in the mud. Oh god, what's this? Oh, I don't know what that was. Might have been a tench, that. Or a good perch. Might have been a good perch. I'm actually pretty sure that was a big perch, because the swim's gone quiet now, so maybe that big perch has moved in and it's pushed all the silvers out. To catch the gudgeon, you need to become the gudgeon. Where would I be if I was a gudgeon? Would I be next to these snags here? I think I might be. Then again, I might be somewhere a little bit more sheltered, because the wind's blowing quite strong here. No, I honestly think we're in a good place there, folks. Oh, that's a monster rudd. Look at that bad boy. Once again, for the beginners out there, lower jaw protruding past the upper jaw. Rudd. Big one as well. The size of the eyes on that perch. Look at that big old eyes. Crazy. Freaky perch. I'm really not sure what I'm carrying on for here, folks. I'm not even sure there's gudgeon in here, but I bet a good amount of money that there is. No word of a lie, I must have had 20 of these little perch now. I think I'm gonna have to move. I've just moved around to the opposite side, folks. I've just had a beautiful bronze rudd. Look at that in the dying light. Stunning fish. That one's got a really upturned, definitely upturned, deformed mouth. Idle roach. I'm getting silvers again and not perch. But there's some really good perch in here. Well, folks, I think I'm going to have to bring day 6 to a close there and give up on gudgeon, which I'm absolutely gutted about. I really wanted to get gudgeon ticked off the list, but I don't know whether you can hear from behind me, but that wind is picking up. It's ripping through. It's making it really, really hard for me to float fish, and I've run out of maggots. Also, I've been on my feet all day. I'm absolutely shattered. I'm starving. I just want to get home now. We've really grafted to try and get a rudd. Been to 2 different fisheries. Probably by the end of the day I'll have driven 150 miles today, so I've definitely put the hours in. I think out of 25 species, today's video leaves us on 22, so I think we're doing really, really well. I'm hoping that we can get one more species at least ticked off tomorrow, but the species that are left, the really, really tough ones: gudgeon, sturgeon and grass carp. Grass carp ain't happening, let me tell you that now, folks. So we've got a chance, we've got a full day to try and get gudgeon or sturgeon. and there's no fisheries around here where I can really target both. So I'm going to have to go all out for either or. Well, before I bring the video to a close, I've just got one last message, and that is, if you have enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button and the like button as well. And if you've got any questions about anything I've done today, feel free to drop a question in the comments. I try and get back to questions where I can. So I just want to say thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the last day of the rod race, where we're trying to tick off one of these final fish, and hopefully we can end on maybe like 23, maybe outside chance 24 fish out of 25, which would be absolutely epic. Look, I'm over the moon with how many species I've got now. If the rod race was to end right now, I think I've done really well. It has been very challenging. It has been so tough. I literally can't explain to you how tough it's been. And I just want to thank you guys as well for sticking around, watching these videos. I know that they've not been the most entertaining because it's been a real struggle to get fish on the bank, but that's fishing at the end of the day. And I'm glad it's been a challenge because I've learnt a lot. Right folks, I'll see you next time.